Hello, welcome to January 16th, 2026. It's a Friday. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation, a live video broadcast exercise that I do every morning at 5:30 a.m. to remember my life objectives and principles, those which are outlined in my book, Going Alone, which you can read for free at goingalone.org. I also use this time to think about the last 24 hours and how I did with the various challenges and the opportunities that I met, those which caused me to exercise my values in ways that were either functionally effective or where I failed to exercise my values, and I should have, or where I exercised my values, but they didn't yield good ends. Because all of those circumstances are potential opportunities to learn and improve. The day to day stuff that just happens without really any issues, not really worth noting here. So this isn't a journal per se of the blow by blow day to day. It's a record of the exceptional, either exceptional in a good way or exceptionally poor moments that happened, so that I can improve. Because this is a journal, I'm at liberty to talk about any subject that I want for as long or as little as I like. I'm not beholden to any agenda other than the agenda of um, reviewing my creed. This is the key element. I wrote this book, and I wrote this book not as a record per se, but as an operational guide, so that I could use it for the rest of my life to live better. So this is why I do this every day, to measure my life, the last 24 hours, against the values and the discretionary recommendations that I have here, to see how if my discretion is being used to good end. So with that, a few more things out by way of disclaimer, and then I'll get started. I do read all comments, but I don't respond to comments until I'm done. That way I can keep the flow going. I do want to express a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters, my YouTube members, and those who watch my videos. Uh, New subscribers, good to have you here. I really do appreciate all of you. Comments and feedback have been especially meaningful to me um, lately, as I've been struggling with a couple of things. Just on a broad perspective, the things that I'm struggling with are: one, retirement. I've been retired for 13 months now, and I've been definitely having a hard time of it. I had a hard time with it almost from the get go. The first month or so were kind of a carefree. It was an amazing period, but it didn't take long for reality to start to rear its head. That I'm not well built for freedom, and I've been struggling with that ever since. I'm also dealing with something that I call the situation back in the United States, which is a truly terrible thing that's unfolding on an ongoing basis, uh, and which I can't tell you about because it's not my horrible thing. It's somebody else's, and I want to preserve their privacy, but I'm involved in going alone. One of the principles that I have outlined here is called the horror show, and it refers to really bad things that happen in life that are at the next level, right? The nth level, you know, really, really bad stuff. And this is definitely what's going on in my life right now, relative to my day to day, is horrific. It's a horror show. So I've been struggling with that as well. And what that's been an interesting thing, and maybe it's a secondary effect, is that the fact of the horror show, um, and maybe to a lesser degree, the fact that I'm struggling with retirement, has caused me to lose a lot of interest in things that normally were quite engaging, like YouTube. I've pretty much my interest in YouTube has dissolved away. A lot of my interest in sharing my life has dissolved away. I'm no longer on Facebook. I'm no longer on Instagram. I've left LinkedIn. I barely I don't post. I don't post anymore. I share this video and a garden video, pretty reliably, one each every day, and that's about the extent of things. And this video is not a sharing video. This is not a video me exposing on my life in Japan. This is a management video. This is a self maintenance video. So it's not about sharing. It's about tuning myself, which is I still which I do by rote. it's just part of my routine in life. I've been doing this for so long now, and it's such an important part of my life that there's no way I'm going to quit this as long as I'm capable. Whether I'd make a video for it or not is beside the point. When I was in America and I wasn't making videos, I still did this every day. I just did it in my mind. So there's a lot going on. Uh, and your comments, the comments that I'm receiving from people, either in this video or elsewhere, or even some of the emails that I still receive, have been very helpful in many ways. Hearing from people who are in similar life circumstances, my roughly my age, roughly my life situation, experiencing their own horror shows of sorts, and giving advice and experience and sharing. More than the advice is the sharing of the experience of how other people go through these things. It's been very helpful. All right. Well, with that said, let's look at the notes for the last. Oh, I forgot. I forgot one more thing. I do talk about death reliably every day, so I will indeed address, if perfunctory, in a perfunctory manner, the my own death shortly. If that subject makes you queasy or uncomfortable, you're forewarned. Let's see. The last 24 hours, I have good news to report. The note here simply says, a much better day. Yesterday was a much better day than I've been having in the like weeks. And I'm confident I know why. It's because in the last 48 hours, I was determined to formulate an organize a plan, literally a schedule for every day, Monday through Sunday, that I could then use to organize the project of each day. Because in being free, the days just appear. I do this, and then I go do radio exercise, and then I walk the dog, and I have breakfast with my wife, and then I'm free for the rest of the day. That freedom, I don't carry it well. I don't do good. I'm like an ant that's lost the scent trail. So, in order to address this, I've set out a plan in the last 48 hours to come up with literally a schedule. And I did just that. And it's a day to day schedule. And yesterday was the first day I lived according to that schedule and plan. And it was a good day. It really yielded good ends. And I'll just give you what yesterday's schedule looked like so you have an idea. And you can see how it changed some of the elements of the day, punctuated the rhythm of the day. My day began at 4:30 a.m. when I woke up. I then cleaned up and had a cup of coffee, and I read a chapter of the Bible. Actually, I read 3 chapters of the Bible yesterday. I finished off the book of John, so the last gospel in my NEE version of the Bible over there. The reason I usually just do 1 chapter a day, but I was so close I could see the end of John in sight, so I went ahead and finished all 3, and then I did a little bit of research about the disciple whom Jesus loved. Wanted to understand a little more about that person. So I really enjoy my Bible study every day. It's been I'm not religious. I'm an atheist, but I have been studying. I read the Bible every day, and I've been doing that for so long. I just read the Bible over and over. I go front to back, finish it, and then go back to the front and start again, and all the way through. I've even written a book about it called Freeway Bible Study, which is my the book that I wrote about my own Bible study. And that took me, so I spent a lot of time after I was cleaned up sitting here reading the Bible. Well, that's what I did today, but I did that yesterday too. So this is yesterday's schedule. So I cleaned up, got dressed, had a cup of coffee, read the Bible, had another cup, poured myself another cup of instant coffee, just like I did here. That took me to 5:30 a.m. yesterday, which I sat here, I lit my candles, and I got going, and I did my good life meditation. And when that was done, I did something. I had a little bit of time before I went to do morning exercise, and I read. Oh yeah, I remember. I read a page of Moby Dick, and that I'm a very slow reader. I've been reading this book for this is the second time for me to read it. You can see I'm getting there. I'm getting close, but I'm very slow reader. And I read a page of Moby Dick, and then I went and did morning exercise. And then I noticed that the days are getting lighter. By the time I was done, it was getting a little bit light. I came home. Yumiko was going to take her dad out for an early morning doctor's visit, so I took the dogs out for a walk myself. I then had a wonderful breakfast with my wife. My wife does all the meals around here, so she prepared a lovely breakfast. We had that, and while she was and this is a new routine, so I dressed nicely, um, but then while Yumiko's preparing, breakfast, usually we walk the dogs together, and then I come home, and then she prepares the dogs breakfast, she feeds them, and while the dogs are eating and Yumiko is preparing our breakfast, I change into my garden clothes because we have breakfast from 8 o'clock until 9 o'clock, and by 9 o'clock, 9 a.m., I'm done. And what I do every day now is that by 9 a.m. after breakfast, I'm in my garden gear. If you can watch any of my garden videos, you can see my garden outfit, and I head out to the garden. And I work in the garden until lunchtime, and that takes me the whole morning. You see the structure that's emerging here, and then usually Yumiko will come out and say it's time for our dinner, or I mean our lunch, and we walk down together or we drive down to dad's house, depending on whether we're going to go out to take dad out to lunch or have lunch at home. And we do lunch with my father-in-law. That takes us to about 1:30. And at 1:30, we take the dogs. We get home, we take the dogs. I'm still in my garden outfit. We take the dogs for an afternoon walk. That takes us to about 2:30. You see the day's getting consumed pretty quickly. I then have from 2:30 until 5, free time. I can do some reading. I can take Rudy for a stroll in his dog stroller. I can go back out to the garden, although I try to avoid that so that I'm not overdoing it. I can play my guitar. I can fiddle around, do whatever I want. 5 o'clock, when you hear here in Japan, they have a lovely chime throughout the country that chimes at 5 o'clock to let everybody know it's quitting time. And at 5 o'clock, that's my cue to come home. And then what I do at 5 o'clock is Yumiko feeds the dogs at 5 o'clock. And this is a new routine that I just started, given that I just started in a new job. Um, my new job pays me, and I have some pocket money now relative to that. I'm usually pretty thrifty, even though money's not an issue. Really, I'm very thrifty. I don't like to spend a lot of money, and I decided now that I have a job and I'm making some pocket change, every day at 5 o'clock while Yumiko is feeding the dogs and preparing our dinner, I will walk down to the convenience store and pick out our dessert. And that could be a bar of chocolate, that could be ice cream, that could be whatever. Yesterday, I got Yumiko a lovely chocolate mousse type of a thing in a container, and I got a bag of popcorn for myself. And then when I get home, we have dinner together, and then we take the dogs for a walk. I took the dog, and I was very careful yesterday. Instead of a very long walk, I took Rudy for a shorter walk, and that was to preserve my energy. And also, Rudy was not interested in going for a longer walk. He had decided that we got to Yoko's house, and he was like, "I'm ready to go home." So he did his business when I took him home. And then while Yumiko and Yoko and Ollie continued their longer walk, I drew the bath. And by the time Yumiko and Ollie got home, I had a bath, and I was in bed by 9:30, 9ish or something like that. I was asleep, and it's 4:30 a.m. and it started the day again. Now, each day will have its routines, something roughly similar to that, Monday through Friday. Now, there's a couple of things that I've added in that were distinct. For example, I've added in Tuesdays, which is the day that I work. I'm calling that my downtown day. So in the morning after breakfast, I leave to go downtown. I leave the house at 8 o'clock, and then I to teach 2 classes. That takes me to noon, and then at noon, I'm free, and I'm free to wander around downtown and have lunch at any restaurant that I want, kind of exploring, having a little fun, doing a little shopping, whatever I want, and I don't need to come home until evening if I want, so I can have this my downtown day. Whole day Tuesday is free. Work introduces that opportunity by taking me downtown. Furthermore, on Wednesdays, one of my neighbors wants to go to the gym and work out together. So he and I are might start doing that on Wednesday afternoons. So I'm going to see if he's up for it. He's also retired and has more time on his hands than anything than he needs. And then also on Thursdays, this might be interesting. Let's see how this actually goes. I'm going to consider that my drinking night. Thursday night, I'm going to skip dinner after we take the dogs for a walk, and I'm going to walk. There's several different izakaya in our community. There's a big train station about 15-minute walk from here called Kusanagi, and there's a couple of bars there. And I think on Thursday nights, I'm going to walk and have a beer on my own and dinner at an izakaya every night, every week of every Thursday night. That'll be my new routine starting next week. I've long talked about that. I've long told Yumiko I'm gonna go have a drinking night every week because I don't really drink at all anymore. And but I do like to have a beer. I do like to go to restaurants. I do like to go to izakaya. I like that bar type of atmosphere. So I'm going to start doing that. Saturday and Sunday are days for freedom and antiquing. Largely the same structure exists, but Yumiko and my wife and her sister and I will go to antique stores. We'll go to flea markets, and we'll have fun. Weekends will be just all about fun. If the laws change in the United States and I'm able to resume my online business, that will be the time that I also will be shopping for antiques to add to my store. Did I miss anything? Oh, yeah, one big one. So I've started a new video series called the Japan Garden series. And remember how I told you that Monday through Friday, the morning after breakfast until noon is all garden time. So I'm in the garden the whole time. Garden wear on, got my nice clippers, everything. I started turning the same camera that you're watching now, which is my nice iPhone Pro Max 16. And I have a nice little tripod that I bought in America when I was there, and I'm just turning the camera on and parking it in the garden and letting it run while with a good side of the camera facing out, the good camera, and catching the ambient atmosphere. And those videos will run up to 2 hours. And then when I'm done, when I come back into the house, I just simply set the upload and it uploads the video with a nice title and description. And those are doing surprisingly well. People are getting lots and lots of hours of views, and I mean they're like 1 or 2 hours long, and they're making money because I guess people are just turning it on and leaving it running in the background, like ambient, like ASMR videos or something like that. And YouTube, what's really interesting is that YouTube, the algorithm seems to like them, and it's um, presenting the video to new audience, those videos to new audiences that I'd never had before. Usually, the algorithm is rather finicky and usually only presents my videos to people who already know me. But I seem to have I seem to have found a format that the algorithm likes with these very long form, just just capturing the atmosphere of life videos, and I'm really enjoying that. Remember before when I first started this video, I said this today's video, I said that I've kind of lost my interest in YouTube. Video, this new Japan Garden video, allows me to be to be disinterested in it. I'm not talking to them very rarely. Although if you listen very carefully, you might hear me muttering under my breath. I tend to have a very active thinking process all the time, and sometimes it my thoughts sputter to the surface, and I'll catch myself muttering to myself, and I realize, oh, yeah, I bet the camera caught that. If you watch the videos, you'll also catch chun chun, which is the little a red-breasted bird that joins me every. I've learned that it joins me here in the wintertime, and as I clear the ground, Chun Chun shows up behind me to look for any revealed tidbits that it can eat from the soil. It's kind of pleasant. Really enjoying that video. So, all of this by virtue of saying that yesterday was a much better day. I really enjoyed yesterday. Well, I wouldn't say I enjoyed it like I used to enjoy my life when I was in my 30s or 40s. Even though those 30s and 40s were a hard time for me, life wasn't. Life wasn't well, how do you describe it? Life was very busy then. I was very purposeful back in my 30s and 40s. I was a young family man. I had a career. I had to take care of things, right? My life was full of purpose and meaning in that capacity. Don't really have all of that now. Don't have to make a living anymore. Don't have a daughter to raise. Don't have a house to buy. Everything's all taken care of, right? So it's different. So I find that my life isn't my life is challenged with meaning now compared to what it was when I was in my 30s and 40s, which is no small thing. Oh, and yesterday I also had a really nice. I met my. How can I forget about this? I met my good friend Jim Mullins at Starbucks yesterday. We were going to meet at the Family Mart bench, but the afternoon took a cold turn. So we met at Starbucks, and Jim and I had the best times. You know, he's an American. I've known him forever. He's probably probably my oldest friend now. I told him like, what is it, like 15 plus years now, at least the oldest friend that I still in contact with anymore. And we had a great time, just guy talk. And what's funny is that we didn't talk. We had neither of us took a single photo. We didn't share on social media. Although Jim's very active now with his YouTube channel, and we did talk about YouTube quite a bit. He's doing a shave series on his new shaving channel, and Molly shaves, and we had a good talk. We talked YouTube, and that was good. We talked. I talked. I had. It was good to talk to another guy about the horror show that I'm going through. You know, you can talk about all the details. I don't tell you guys the details, but you know, Jim knows everything, and it was good to unburden myself a little bit of my pain and to talk frankly with him about it, and to hear his feedback, and you know, a little pat on the shoulder, and conciliatory tone. Thank you, Jim, for that. All right. That's all I need to say about yesterday. It was a good day. My creed consists of the following 8 objectives. Number 1, to at all times be ready for death by way of having my affairs, relationships, and my life's work, if not complete, at least in order. And they are. So I am ready to die. Number 2 is to make good and effective use of my time so that I'm not wasting my days. These tick, tick, tick tock of the clock are put to good ends. My third objective is to develop and maintain good and sound, meaning that they can sustain the inquiry of reason, life objectives and principles, precisely those 8 objectives and 35 principles outlined in my book. Number 4 is to cultivate good emotional reactions, a very important objective that I utilize every day throughout the day, reacting well when life gets hard, making sure that I don't fly off the handle or step forward with a version of myself that is not social or public or reasonable. My fifth objective is to um, perform good actions relative to the same values I just mentioned, my 8 objectives and 35 principles, so that I'm living as an expression and in alignment with my creed. My sixth objective is to uh, recognize my true limits and my true opportunities, so that I operate within the scope of what is and what is not uh, reasonable to expect that I can achieve or do. Number 7 is to do just one thing at a time and do that thing slowly, deliberately, and carefully. My eighth and final objective is to achieve and maintain balance in my life, in both my body and my mind, so that I'm moving forward without stumbling, or with as little stumbling as possible. I always like to read one of the principles in addition to after I review the 8 objectives. There's too many principles to enumerate, so I'll just read. Today, I'm going to read principle number 1, the principle of war. Let me open the book. This would be on page 252 of the hardbound edition of Going Alone. Again, you can read the whole book for free at goingalone.org. The principle of war. I rise each morning taking arms first against my own philosophy and beliefs, and secondly against the philosophy and beliefs of others. So I'm at war with philosophy, my own and others. I will suffer no unsound or unjust objective or principle to survive my honest, reasoned critique, assuming that I can bring such force to bear, no matter the consequence to my sense of peace, comfort, or abiding worldview. That's a tough one, right? So to do so without regard to the unsettled, how unsettled my life might become by virtue of such an activity. I will equally yield to the warfare of another against my precious truths when these are shown to be unsound or dishonest in any way. That's tricky, that last bit. And I will point out, when I was talking to Jim yesterday, and Jim, if you see this, which I doubt you will, but if you do see this, I want to apologize if I seemed like I was a little contrarian during our coffee yesterday. You were offering some points, not directed at me, but large holistic points that I took exception to, not in a bad way, just simply saying, I don't know if that's true, Jim. The kind of healthy back and forth that friends have. And that was me doing just that very thing right there, right? Was seeing an observation, because you were making observations in response to some of the observations that I've made about the challenges that I'm facing in this season of life. I was pushing back, but that's the kind of thing that I think is healthy, and that's the kind of thing that both you and I, Jim, appreciate, is to be able to offer a perspective and then to offer a counter to that. Wasn't dismissing or disregarding the things you said, but me trying to reconcile that perspective against my own experience. That again is part of the principle of war. All right, finally, the next 24 hours. Well, it's a Friday. I would like to go to the bank today. I need to open a bank account for my job. I talked about spending money on dessert that I don't yet have. So I have money, but I have the money that I was specifically earmarked for the dessert yet. So I need to get a bank account so I can get paid. I'll hopefully do that this afternoon. Other than that, I'll just live this day out according to the schedule and plan that I detailed earlier. 3 comments as the candles diminish down. Oh, and by the way, the weather here appears to be, wow, it's 10 degrees and apparently like 55% humidity. Celsius, that is 10 degrees Celsius. Good morning, Tim. Weather check for the UK at 8:33 p.m. is 4.5 degrees. It's warmer for you too. And 99% humidity. Another dark, damp, dismal day. Wow, sounds like England, huh? Tim goes on, having a daily plan in retirement sounds kind of counterintuitive, but for me, it's a foundation in creating a full day. Perhaps there is slight fear of an aimless boredom, so a daily plan is essential. Glad to hear get your hallelujah, brother. I respect you are my retirement senpai. And I hear you. It's like kind of having a plan, like why bother, right? But otherwise, we do kind of wander aimlessly. I get these moments where I'm just sitting here on my sofa, like like a little boy with my feet dangling, do, 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 and having the daily plan seems to, like, I know that my whole day is pretty much taken up. It's taken up with decided things that I want to do, but it's still taken up, and that feels good. Act 98006. Good to see you. Joins us once in a while. It's always good to see you. Kurt, after your trip to the US, were there any things that you found you missed now that you live in Japan? Yeah, Yumiko asked me the same thing. I miss my people. I miss being around Americans. Americans are really neat people. They're very fun. We're very good natured largely, and very friendly. And I like, for example, there was a woman. I mean, I'll just pull this out as an example. Every morning I would go to Sprouts grocery store to buy a bento that they had. I would get the Mediterranean bowl, which was on sale. I could get it. It was a $10 bowl, but if you bought yesterday's bowl that they didn't sell, you could get it for $3 off. So for about $7, I could have a nice breakfast. And I would also buy a bag every other day, a bag of cutie mini tangerines. And the woman that worked there in the mornings at the cashier, she became my, she has a really good nose, and she became my my tangerine sniffer. She and I had a routine, and I would give her the mekons, and she would give it the smell test to tell me whether they were good or not. She'd send me back to get another bag if they weren't. And we would have fun. We would banter back and forth, and I would tease her about her sniffing ability. And this is the kind of thing that I love about Americans. We're so gregarious and friendly, and of course we tell it like it is, and we can also have a biting side. But I really miss that. And Japanese are not. It's not that Japanese are cold or anything like that. They just don't do that kind of stuff in necessarily. Thank you for asking such an interesting question. Tim says, it was a topic discussed on my Facebook retirement group, and there were very mixed views on having a daily plan and some structure in that it felt like too much like work, like a work world. But I disagree. Hmm, hmm, me too. You got to hook me up with that retirement group. I'd like to be a part. Well, I'm not on Facebook anymore, so I guess not. Evelyn says, hello to myself, Tim, in Act 98006. Tim says, Act, I want to have a question I've always wanted to ask you. Are you referring to a Bible verse there? Is that like Acts 98006 or something? It doesn't sound like a verse, but it kind of does. Penguin says hello to Evelyn and Act. Act says, Kurt, it is sounding like Groundhog Day. Yeah, all over again, right? Tim says, I saw you planting your pea plants. What was the twigs you placed around the base of each plant? Is that to stop the snails and slugs? No, actually, those are bamboo, or dried bamboo, last year's bamboo cuttings that I set aside to dry, and then I'm slowly cutting up with big cutters into basically they're bamboo chips that I've made, and I place them around the base to protect the young seedlings from frost, because we're still probably going to get a few more frost days in January and February. So I want to protect the roots from that. That was my own idea. The farmers around here use straw, but I thought I've got all these wooden bamboo chips. Maybe I could use that. So we'll see what happens. And believe it or not, I don't have any problem in this garden with snails, slugs, or insects of any sort. Everything that we grow just seems to just everything leaves it alone. But there's plenty of creatures out there. It's all organic. It's been a wild patch of land for 7 decades, but don't seem to have much of a problem. Elvina, hello, Elvina. Reporting in. Good afternoon from Mimico. Very cold here today. Negative 12 C. Whoa. Negative 20 with the wind chill. That's cold. 30 to 35 centimeters of fluffy blowing snow and 100.2 CPA pressure. I don't know what CPA pressure is. It barometric pressure, I guess. 72. I've just never heard that phrase, that verbiage. 72% humidity. I just finished my third round of shoveling. Well, Elvina, you stay safe out there in that cold weather. But I do have to say, and I think everyone will agree, you you get the award for the most comprehensive weather report, including barometric pressure, yet delivered in this particular series. Good for you. And stay safe out there, and to be careful with that shoveling. You know how it can really strain strain us, right? Don't slip. Axe says, have you had any snow lately? I thought I saw the weather in Shizuoka had some snowfall. Just last week, there was about a half hour of a tremendous snow flurry, which happens about once every 10 years. Well, we'll see that. I can remember twice in the past here in Shizuoka seeing that. I was just sitting right here, and suddenly I looked outside, and it was a blizzard outside, and it lasted for 10 minutes, and then it passed. And I did get it on video. Maybe I should upload it. Elvina says, hello to Penguin, Tim, Act, and Evelyn. Michael Littlejohn. Hi, Michael Littlejohn. Hello. Elvina says hello to Michael Littlejohn. Act says shaving channel. Yeah. Jim has a brand called Mully Shaves. You can find it if you search for Mully Shave. Mully Shaves, Mully, and then shaves. You'll find his channel, and it's all about wet shaving. It's his thing. Interesting concept for a guy that wears a beard. Tim says, the garden is very much a thinking sanctuary. working and thinking at the same time, and also for quiet reflecting and relaxation, isn't it though? Oh my gosh. I'm so grateful for just the amount of space we have out there, just enough to present enough of a challenge and keep me busy every day, hopefully for the rest of my life. Tim says, hello to Elvina and Michael. Elvina says, a shaving channel sounds interesting. I do enjoy the gardening. I have a few more months of planning for our garden, though. Elvina says, I plan by looking at my neighbors. I have a lot of neighbors, including one who is a former farmer, and he tills a plot of land by his place. And I watch his example. Like they started laying out their garden peas 2 weeks ago. So I took a clue, went to the garden center. Sure enough, pea seedlings are out, and I planted my first row. Did I tell you guys that I planted my first row the other day? So I think I did. Evelyn says hello to Michael and Elvina. Axe says, following up on your missing Americans, let me know if you'd be interested in meeting up. I will be in Japan for all of April. I would certainly be love to meet up. If you come through Shizuoka, let me know. I will come downtown and we can meet up and have a tea, a coffee, or a lunch, or a beer, or whatever. Axe says no with that looks like a very emphatic no. It is my initials plus my zip code. Oh, okay. So, sorry to press, and I hope I didn't touch a nerve. Tim says, that makes sense. The reason it looks like the emphatic no is the capital N, capital O. Tim says, that makes sense protecting the young plants from the frosts. Here, snails and slugs are everywhere. Damp weather, lol. We put plant pots in the ground full of beer. The snails and slugs like the beer. Ah, really interesting. What, do they fall in or something like that? Do they drink the beer? Do they get drunk? How interesting. Oh, but they drown. Oh, okay. Well, there's a lesson in that, isn't there? Tim says the birds then pick off the snails. It's a system. Whiskey, hey Whiskey, haven't seen you for a while. Hello, mate. Been a while. I gathered you started teaching. Is it adults or kids? It's adults. I'm teaching once a week, two classes, two 45-minute classes on Tuesdays, and I'm teaching at a Japanese language school. Although I'm an English teacher, teaching 21-year-old young adults from countries like Bangladesh, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Indonesia, uh, and others, Mongolia and others, who are coming to Japan to learn Japanese and to pick up a trade, to build lives here, and so that they can send remittance home and supporting their family and their siblings back home. Young adults with a very, very serious and strong mission, and I really am enjoying it. I've only been at it for 2 weeks of teaching so far, but I really do enjoy it. Although next month they've asked me to pick up some extra. I'm also the school's substitute teacher too. So in addition to having 2 lessons a week of my own, I'm on standby mode to fill in as the school needs. There are 5 teachers in the English department, so I'm the designated substitute teacher. So I've picked up already a couple of substitute classes in February. Whiskey says, that sounds great. Many new immigrants. Exactly. They are immigrants to Japan. If you go to like a Japanese convenience store these days in Japan, you're more than likely going to see a young man or a woman from one of the aforementioned countries, including India. And that's my student base now, which is a really interesting student base because they are seriously motivated to do well in life. Axe says, deal. We'll be in Tokyo for much of the time and hiking the Kumano Kodo. I will have plenty of time, so I will try to plan a day trip down to Shizuoka. Just try to give me a week's notice, a week's heads up, and we can make that happen. That way, I can block off some time on my schedule, make sure I don't get classes booked, etc. Whiskey says that's right, and cooks all over Tokyo now, even soba shops. Yeah, they're everywhere. You're starting to see people with not quite Japanese faces all over the places. Act says, will do. Looking forward to it. And with that, I will go ahead and complete today's Good Life Meditation by wishing everybody all the best. Thank you for joining me today. Be safe, but not too safe. But for me, I expect that tonight I will die in my sleep. And we missed Evelyn today. I don't think I saw Evelyn. Evelyn, if you Evelyn tends to let me know that if she just doesn't join us live, she tends to join us in the later. And if you're not here, Evelyn, We missed you. And if you are here and you said something and I missed it, then I forgot, then I'm forgetful. Just wanted to say you're on my thoughts. Wishing you all the best, Evelyn, as always. And Robert, no Robert today either, I don't think. So Robert and Evelyn, we missed you, and some of the other, and any of the other regulars. If I missed anybody, Elvina says, "Have a wonderful evening, everyone." Tim says, "Have a great day." Take care, everybody. Bye bye. Oh, Evelyn is here. But quiet today. Okay, great. Glad to see you. Glad to know all is well. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.